Hello, my friends, and welcome to Kitsune Readings, where your questions find answers.
Hello everyone, Ryu here. Today we're going to talk about the Atari Jaguar and of course Club Drive, which came out in 1994. The Atari Jaguar itself, I believe, released in 1993, advertised as a 64-bit system. Now, Club Drive, I think, was supposed to be like a Hot Wheels style racing game with Hot Wheels style environments. Now, the car doesn't look 64-bit, obviously. It looks more 32-bit-ish, maybe even from the 16-bit era. This was advertised as a 64-bit console, but a lot of people debate this. You see, the system itself, as far as I know, was based on an earlier console. There was actually going to be a 32-bit cartridge-based system, and it was called the Atari Panther. Now, the Atari Panther was rather interesting, but this game is actually really bad. Somewhat nostalgic to some people. Just gonna check some of my information here. Because I'm pretty sure the Panther... Yeah, the Panther was a canceled 32-bit game console. Just had to look that up real quick. Want to make sure I'm giving you accurate information. And it was planned to compete with the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, but they went with 64-bit instead. This is why the games look more 32-bit-ish as opposed to 64-bit. The Panther development first started in 1988 to 1990. The Jaguar project began in parallel. They canceled the Panther and switched focus solely to the Jaguar. Now, this game is bad. The Jaguar failed, but I find it to be an interesting part of gaming history. North America received the Atari Jaguar on November 23rd, 1993. We're playing this on the 50th anniversary collection, by the way, of Atari games, which I think is great. I think that you should have this. I own it physically for the Nintendo Switch, which is how we're playing it today. It also has arcade versions of the games on it too. I enjoy being able to own these in a physical capacity. The controls are slippery and bad, true. It has different things on it. There's also a secret fifth world you can access called Planet Todd in this game. Anyway, you can also press the minus button on the Switch, and you can look at the instruction manual that came with the game, which is actually pretty cool. We don't really get video game manuals with our games anymore. Club Drive, Jaguar 64-bit interactive multimedia system. That's right, video games are just interactive, playable forms of art. Introduction. In the year 2098, where do you go on vacation? Why, you go to Club Drive, of course. The most exciting theme park of the 21st century. Why, yes, it is Club Drive. It was opened just after driving was once again legalized. This implies that at some point We all caused such a problem. We got banned from driving, but it became re-legalized at some point in the 21st century. We were banned from driving for like safety reasons, and apparently it was illegal for 50 years. Anyway, Club Drive was open just after driving once again legalized. Driving had been illegal for safety reasons for more than 50 years, until Dr. Lawrence Phosphorus made a breakthrough discovery in his distributive processing study involving safety in smart materials. The doctor developed algorithms that could be mathematically proven to be safe. Thus, driving ban was lifted for these indestructible vehicles, and Club Drive was born. I feel like there are things missing from this backstory. Take the Old West exit, chase down your opponent in a fast paced game of tag through the main streets. Okay, it probably meant the mean streets. Oh man, correcting the spelling errors in this would give me a headache. Let's continue reading this great backstory. Tag through the game tag through the mean streets of a real ghost town. Well, I guess it could also be pronounced as the main streets of a real ghost town. Get off of a hairpin drive and test your wheels in a skateboard park. Mean streets, I think, would have sounded better. Anyway, skateboard park for cars. Turn on 2010 Century Court. 2010. Apparently, this takes place in 2010. Race through San Francisco, then take on Ho Scale. I think that was supposed to say whole scale. Whole scale lane. Somebody did not know how to spell when writing this, my friends. And experience what it's like to be a toy car and race through your neighbor's house. Right. So the tracks were sort of meant to be like racing around in a Hot Wheel car. It's your chance to do stuff with a car you've never dreamed of. Well, I don't know about that. So it explains the controls here. Now, this is before analog sticks became a thing, so you might have an easier time using the D-pad controlling the car as opposed to using the analog stick. Such has been my experience. You've got the worlds you can choose from. Velocity Park, San Francisco, the Old West, Jerome's Pad. It's got memory saving, probably with a backup memory battery such as the style of the times. You see many game cartridges from that era. We're talking about the early 90s here. I used backup battery saving, which had a battery in it that would save your game. The downside of this being that when the battery dies, your save data is poof, because you have to replace the battery. Option menu, Club Drive Worlds. Collect stuff or race, credits, warranty, back of the manual. Being able to see the manual like this, I think, is a pretty neat feature. Thanks, Atari. I personally enjoy the Atari collection. And I'm glad they put the Jaguar games on here because I never had one and never really got to experience its games. So there's our car there. Now, you got car 1 and car 2. Options, start game. Engine's noisy, slow, speed. Game 1. Now, collect power balls. You can also do racing and other stuff too, but we'll do power balls. So we're in Jerome's pad. We'll go through each of the levels. Now, you can just see how bad this looks. You can also have different views. We'll go back to being inside the car. Behind the car. Above. That's actually behind the car. Right? And so. I mean, Virtua Racing on the Sega Genesis looks better than this. You can actually go through this little hole right here, I think. And it puts you in a different part of the house. There's some dudes on the TV there. There's the toilet. Or maybe that's just a picture on the wall. I can't tell. Give you a basic idea of the layout. There's Pong playing on the TV over there. Go under the bed and get the Powerball. But as I said before, these games were actually developed for the Atari Panther. They just got switched over to the Jaguar, which became their main focus. I'll just reset the game here. And we'll look at one of the other levels. Whoops, wrong button. So we had Jerome's pad, right? This is the Wild West one they talked about in the manual. I've always wanted to talk about the Atari Jaguar and its games. It's not often you get to experience games like this from a failed console. You also have the Atari Lynx games in here and stuff like that. I don't know what they were really thinking when they made this. I think it needed far more time and development. Apparently this game has a cult following today and some people still play it. Look at the other levels. I like showing weird and unusual video games. This game isn't really that weird or unusual. It just blows my mind they released it in this state. To me, it feels like an unfinished game, personally. And there's not a lot of content in here. Now we're supposed to be in San Francisco. But it gives you an interesting look at the stages. I mean, there's games on the 16-bit consoles that look way better and are way more detailed than this. Clearly, the Jaguar could make 3D polygons, though. That's pretty evident from this. Why am I even playing this? Well, to make a video about it and show it to you. I mean, I do think the game's interesting, to say the least. I also think, oh look, there's another car. You don't often see that in this game. So, well, I think the Jaguar itself is an interesting and fascinating part of gaming history. Because of what it is and when it came out and how it was released. I think the Jaguar could have been much more interesting and done a lot better had it had better marketing and third-party support and the people working on the game, actually tried. Like, the level select map looks pretty cool on this, honestly. Now we've got Velocity Park. Is this game bad? Oh yes, unquestionably bad. But it had potential to be something cool. Had they put more time and work into it. Wow, we rolled our car. And the hidden level really is not that interesting. They even tried to give the game a cool backstory, which I applaud their attempts, honestly. So this is Club Drive. Very hard to find these things today. This game actually is so bad, I can't even believe it had an actual release in 1994. I personally, if I was the CEO, I would have been like, my god, we can't release this pile of garbage. It's gonna embarrass our company. But the giga chat of a CEO that was in Atari at the time was like, release it, I dare you. And they were like, you got it, king. And then we got this awful pile of crap. Anyway, for all my complaining, I think this is a game that was wasted potential. It needed more development, and it needed to spend more time in the oven cooking before they released it. Great concept that's poorly executed, in my opinion. But if you just want to screw around and relax a bit, this is a fun game to just laugh at and just sort of chill, I guess. I could imagine back in the day when this was originally released, you paid full price for this pile of crap, you would be grossly offended. You would be so damned angry. And I don't think Atari Jaguar titles were really, like, rentable anywhere. The Atari Jaguar, in my opinion, suffered from some of the same problems. Not much of a hidden level here now. There's not a lot here, obviously. But, there wasn't enough content in this game to begin with. And it looks like an unfinished demo or prototype, which is really quite sad. I think they could have done a lot better with this. But, it's interesting to see and experience. Like me and my friend talk about this a lot. Digital decay. There's a lot of games that aren't playable anymore. unless you want to emulate them. Trying to put them on the original hardware and media or obtain them, like, I could have worded that better. Anyway, it's very expensive, the hobby of retro gaming today. And I'm glad I can own these games in an official capacity. And I'm glad that you can experience games like this today. Oh, I almost was able to get that Powerball. They're an interesting part of gaming history, even though the game is notoriously bad. It's still interesting to see. And of course, you have the instruction manuals that they came with. Low res polycar, even for the time in which it was made. There's also other Jaguar games that came out. It was known for having a limited library, but this is definitely one of the more interesting titles that released on it, and I'm glad I get to share it with you. And now you know this game exists. Should you buy the Atari 50th Anniversary Collection? If you're a big retro gamer, and you want to add a decent collection of retro games that you don't have to emulate and can own in an official capacity, then yes, I think you should buy the Atari 50th Anniversary Collection. It does include some of the Jaguar games. Don't play Trevor McFur and the Galaxy whatever. That game is horrible. Well, most of the Jaguar games are horrible. In fact, the only two you might be interested in playing, one of them is Atari Kart. Sort of their answer to Mario Kart, I guess. Well, actually, that's probably the only one you'll be interested in playing out of the Jaguar series. It also has great classics like Basketball and stuff on here. But that said, interesting game, interesting part of gaming history. And now you know that this game exists. That's all the time I have for today, my friends. I hope you liked seeing Club Drive on the Atari Jaguar. I love you all. I will see you all again very soon. You can and you will achieve your dreams, my friends. I believe in you. Have a great day.